Hey, what's up, you guys? Woody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of AMC's The Walking Dead. This week we've seen Season 6, Episode 7, which is entitled Heads Up. And yes, way before I talk about that, in the title below you can see, as I always put with my episode reviews, spoilers in all caps with 2 stars at the end. Or I mean with a star at each end, I should say. So yeah, warning, spoiler. We finally know for sure Glenn is alive. Of course, a lot of us have, predicted that he was alive, really, ever since the whole initial shock of that event in I think it was the 3rd episode this season occurred. And, when that wore off, I think we all started kind of, thinking about it a little bit more. And, the majority of us ended up believing he was alive, and look, he is. So of course, I was happy to see Glenn back, because in a way, if he had died back in episode 3, it would have felt a little anticlimactic for the character, because sometimes you want, like, a character, it's been around as long as he has to have, like, a bigger death in sight of the other main characters, but, at the same time, I have said, and I still, agree with the idea that, yeah, he's alive. I'm happy to see Glenn. I'm glad he's still going to be around for a little while longer anyway. But, realistically, he wouldn't have gotten out of that, It's like we all thought, Nicholas's body fell on top of him. The walkers were all, just devouring Nicholas's body. But really, it seems funny that not one walker would have gone for Glenn's head or neck or something like that, But, like we all seen with the little gif, or if we played back the clip of... hold on a second, guys. I got my cat out. You guys know the drill. I've said that plenty of times before, I know. But, yeah. But like many of us, if you look back at... Like many of us did, if you look back at the scene, you can, like, see for... It was clearing up, sorry. You can see for a second or two, Glenn kind of pulling himself up, and that's exactly what he did. He pulled himself under the dumpster. There were a couple, 3, maybe 4 walkers that were around it, that sort of seen him go under there. Maybe 3, I think. I'm not sure about that, though. He ends up killing all of them and sort of, like, using them to, like, hide himself under there from the other ones. Because, the walkers sent around the dumpster to kind of mask his initial, and I think... But still, I think other walkers would have noticed he would have died right there. But, at the same time, it's a TV show, and I'm just going to take it and just try to be happy that a character I like, will be around for a while longer anyway. I do think Glenn may die within the next couple seasons, though, if not by the end of this one, because of a certain somebody showing up. Negan. But we'll see exactly who Negan kills. I know he kills a big character in the comic books. But we'll see if they swap that or, if they just don't do it at all. But I really think they have to have Negan kill off a major character right away to really give the same initial impression that he gave in the comics. Definitely looking forward to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, though. I think he's going to do a good job. So a lot of the episode, Enid actually showed up. I'm not sure if she just, conveniently was, hiding out there the whole time the Nicholas and Glenn thing was going on. Or if, she just happened to wander there and, get there by the time Glenn came out from under the dumpster to toss in the water. I don't know. But anyway, plot convenience got kind of accepted, I guess. So a lot of the episode was, spent, with Glenn and Enid traveling together. Glenn sort of panicking and sort of desperately asking her, what happened to Alexandria, because he knew the herd was heading there and stuff like that, and he heard the horn and stuff. So Enid told him about that it was people, and same thing happens that always happens. People die. And I did like their scenes together. I think Stephen Young did a good job. As he always does, as Glenn, of course, but. These characters were coming from, 2 very different perspectives. Enid, she's seen, her parents die. She's seen, other people she's tried to get invested in die. A lot of our characters now kind of struggle with, do we care anymore if it's worth it, because we're just going to feel the pain of loss again. And so I liked how Glenn tried to bring her out of that slowly. When they're traveling together, and eventually they got some balloons that they were going to use to like signal Maggie and the rest of them, because obviously the flare gun Glenn was going to use, is smashed and broken. So they end up setting up the balloons later, and Glenn is able to to convince Enid to come back with him, because he does care. He wasn't just doing it for Maggie, or that's what he told her anyway. But Glenn has a good heart, so he was probably genuine about that. As far as the rest of the episode goes, like in the thumbnail, Ron has Rick, show him how to use a gun, showing him how to load it and things like that. Of course, Rick doesn't actually put ammo in the gun Ron's using. He's still kind of suspicious of him, as he should be. But he lets him fire blanks and stuff like that, sort of get used to it, the way he holds it. And Carl's helping out with that too. And I think it's obvious that he's planning to kill either Rick or Carl at this point. But no, I don't think he's really going to succeed with either of those things. But it should be kind of a fun situation for the mid-season finale, right? Also, one of the focus points of the episode was, Morgan, sort of having a sit down with Rick, Michonne, and Carol. They're kind of three, leaders, along with, Daryl, I'd say. And Glenn, too, really, but, like our big characters, they have a sit down and talk with them, and, Carol but she told them how, she's seen Morgan, let those three wolves go, and then they're trying to be the same ones that attacked Rick. And so they both, they all kind of questioned Morgan. Morgan started holding on to this philosophy. That's just what he believes. And then, Rick says something like, "We've heard in the trailer, you really think you can survive anymore without getting blood on your hands." And they both, they all just kind of question Morgan. I think they all kind of understand him to a degree. Understand his philosophy and why he'd want to believe that would work. But at the same time, they're all very realistic, very, they've adapted a little bit differently to the world. They haven't been through the same process that Morgan has. But, characters like Rick and Michonne, especially, they're a little bit more balanced as far as, who to save and who they know they have to kill. And Carol's on the same playing field, too, but, she's a little bit more cold, I'd say. But I think Rick and Michonne have recently found it, Rick especially, Michonne's always been pretty, stable. But Rick recently has found like a good balance between, his honor and, doing what he has to do to survive, I think. His morality, I should say. The cat's at the door. We'll see if she goes a little bit crazier before we open it. Let's see what else. Kind of messed up my mind for a second. Spencer, one of Deanna's sons, of course, the one that didn't get torn apart in season 5. He ends up trying to use this rope to, climb over the walkers that are surrounding the walls, to get in a car and sort of like draw them away, which is a good idea in theory, to get someone to try to rush out there and do that at some point, But the way he was using was kind of risky, and it ended up almost breaking to the point where he's going to fall into the herd, which he kind of did. But Tara kind of makes the save. She like puts down all the walkers that were coming around doing stuff like that, as Rick and Tobin had helped him. They gave Tobin some lines in this, more lines in this episode. He's always been a character in the background since they got to Alexandria. Someone who kind of runs to help out sometimes. But he sort of had a good talk with Rick in this episode, I think, just saying how they're all so scared of him, how it looked like he see things that they couldn't, and it turns out that he really did. And so it seems like some of the Alexandrians are starting to believe more in Rick. But, I see characters like Tobin being killed off in, like, the next episode, for the mid-season finale. But still, I like they're starting to come around to Rick's ideas, and Deanna shows Rick the blueprints to the expansion she still wants to do for Alexandria. I'm sure we'll see that eventually, but I don't think within the next while. Like they, like everyone else really responded. They kind of had other things to deal with right now. Anyway, And right at the end of the episode, we see those green balloons go up that Glenn and Enid set off. And, of course, Maggie gets ecstatic, really eager. And, Rick and Maggie had a good talk earlier this episode, too. Rick, sort of showing his optimism, his faith that, Glenn, Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham will all make it back. They've made it through they've made it through some stuff that's harder. They made it, from further away, to get back to a certain point. And, Rick's right. But just as they get excited, we see one of the watchtowers just come down. And the episode cuts off right there. So obviously the Walkers are now going to get into Alexandria for the mid-season finale. I think that's what we were all, waiting for. And you guys know from my last review that I do feel like they were kind of stretching out this whole herd heading towards Alexandria story, because they stretched out for this whole half season. I'm excited for the whole attack, the next episode. That should be really exciting and intense. I'm just saying I think they stretched it out, longer than we probably really wanted them to. But it should still be a good mid-season next week, I'd say. So yeah, those are my main thoughts on the episode. I know I don't talk about everything. My reviews have gotten a little bit shorter lately, I know. But, as always, you can leave a comment below, and I'll be more than willing to discuss with you guys. I still love The Walking Dead. I just find that I think it lost its touch a couple seasons ago. I still really enjoy the show, but just something's not there that once was. I still like it, but there's other shows I enjoy more nowadays, I think. Like Penny Dreadful, The Strain, even Z Nation to a certain point, depending on the episode. But, I still like the show. Still happy to review it every week for you guys, and excited for the long-term results for, Rick's story and stuff like that. So, yeah, add me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, MoviePilot, look for me on SwallowDead.com. Catch you guys next time. And to be honest, I was in more of a Jessica Jones mood tonight. I'm on episode 4 of that on Netflix, by the way. I'm kind of going at a much slower pace than most people are with this. I'm not binging. I'm just kind of taking my time with it, watching it on my own time and stuff like that. But, of course, like I said, my review of the first episode, that I will review the season once I finish it. So, peace.